Michigan music lovers. This is Scott Baker, musician, music journalist, and producer, welcoming you to the Michigan Music History Podcast, covering all the territories of the Mitten. We cast from around the block of the brand new Michigan Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Bay City, Michigan, in the heart of the Great Lakes Bay region. And I'm joined by Michigan music royalty, sitting to the left and right, Dr. J. Gary Johnson of the Michigan Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and MichiganRockandRollLegends.com website, and Sir Fred Reif, Michigan music author, publisher, manager, and musician. Together they have taught, lectured, traveled, hosted, and have been quoted worldwide on all things Michigan music. Chances are you stood next to them at the record store or shoulder to shoulder at concerts over the years. They are the record crate diggers and the library microfishermen that have dug around for the details, the credits, and the lineage that has been part of the backstory of Michigan music. So grab your favorite beverage, hit the cruise, and take a trip back with us as we open up a can of earworms on Michigan's rich music history.
Welcome to the Michigan Music History Podcast Show, channeling through all styles and eras of Michigan music, from before you were born up through this very minute. And now, your host, Scott Baker.
Hey, we are back at Studio 163 in Essexville, Michigan, for our big Detroit episode here, Mr. Alice Cooper. And we got a few glitches to work out here on our headphones, but we are in the mode of getting ready to talk about some stuff that is unique to our state and unique to our roots rock lineage. And tonight we started the evening when we got here by talking about some of the cool stuff that the Michigan Legends, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Legends is going to have here in Bay City. And Gary's already got some ideas happening, so we've established some stuff that's going to get done there. So we hope to have that open at what point?
Well, that's a good question. We're hoping with the pandemic and everything that we can get it open by the end of the year anyway. But there's a lot of work that has to be done there. So
this is a good
have to see.
You got your feet in the door though, and some visions are starting to take place, and ideas are happening, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Got some good news. The Frankie Lyman tombstone, we were a little concerned about its weight and whether or not the second floor gallery was going to be able to handle that amount of weight, and we had it checked out, so that certainly is looking good.
We've had a wonderful sunny last few days here in Michigan, and or at least our mid-Michigan area, and people are starting to crawl out of their holes a little bit, masked up and taking it step by step here, and the COVID shots are coming around, so I think people are slowly going to make their way outward, and maybe by the end of the year we can get some concerts back going again. That seems to be the hope anyway.
Yeah, this summer especially. Yeah, you had the brand new Friendship Shell in Bay City, ready to rock. We just need to get a handle on this pandemic and hopefully get most of the people vaccinated. I was happy to get my second shot last week.
I got mine too.
My wife is going to get her second shot on Monday, and so hopefully it's going to work down to some younger folks soon.
I got something I believe is lined up for the middle of March here, so we will see how that rolls. At least step one in the right direction. As for bookings, I'm hearing things slowly through the grapevine on my end as a musician out playing right now, and there are some steps being taken to possibly get us out by the end of March at certain places. But my summer concert dates have not rolled in, and they're usually here by end of February, middle of March. So I'm kind of thinking, even by April, I'd be happy to get those, and I'm sure it could happen. I mean, I did do some last year, even through all this, so hopefully locally we can get everybody back in the seats in the venues around the state. And I see Texas opened up completely all the way around, unmasked and all that, eh?
Yeah, that's a little scary.
That's what I was thinking. They're really stretching out for the rest of us here to let us know what's going to really go down. But a lot of faith in those shots going out there. We'll see, though. I was listening to some of this Alice Cooper interviews covering for this album we're going to talk about today, and he's hoping to be back out by the fall himself. So, if that's their projection, then pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of stuff getting canceled from the fall right now as we speak too. So he just said it. There was a Michigan, that Midland one. I sent you guys a link to that record store in Midland. He did a little talk with him, and Alice says he hoped to be back out in the fall there. But in the meantime, we got Alice Cooper, Detroit Stories. It came out last Friday, which by the time this interview, our podcast hits, it'll be probably 3 weeks or so or more into the tank. But what a conglomeration of Detroit. It was pure Alice and his thoughts of growing up here in town. He spent his first 10 years here before he moved away. And he got his producer, Bob Ezrin, who's been doing his last few records as well as many of his popular, huge albums, including the ones with Dick Wagner, like Welcome My Nightmare and Goes to Hell. He got him back on board here to say, hey, let's go to Detroit. Apparently, Ezrin suggested using all Detroit musicians, Detroit everything. I mean, going for songs. Right off the bat, the album kicks off with Rock and Roll, Velvet Underground Lou Reed song, which is pretty well known in this state by Mitch Ryder. And featuring Steve Hunter and Joe Bonamassa on lead guitars. It's a in-your-face rock and roll song. We actually got to preview the record before this came out. And any thoughts on the opening track, guys?
Well, I thought the album just kicked off just the way you'd want it to. To me, that's the highlight of the album right there, the first song. They're just terrific. Every bit as good as the version by Detroit with Mitch Ryder, which Steve Hunter played on.
Yeah.
As did Johnny B, right?
Yeah.
Did the drumming on that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a great song.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts on that opening track there, Fred?
No, I liked it, but
yeah, it's not your cup of tea. It's not your bowl of chips,
right.
but it felt all right for you.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was a hell of an entrance.
Right,
coming right through the speakers. It's definitely an update of the Mitch Ryder version as opposed to the Velvet Underground version. But I want to say that Johnny B on bass, or on drums, and Paul Randolph out of Detroit. He's like an R&B jazz bass player. He could do anything. Paul's incredible talent. He was on bass. Steve Hunter, Joe Bonamassa, Detroit's Garrett Beliniak, Bob Ezrin and James Shelton on organ, and Wayne Kramer, Johnny B, Paul Randolph, Bob Ezrin, Cooper, Cheryl Cooper, his daughter, that's his wife, his daughter Calico, and all of them on background vocals. And that was just a welcome homecoming song, a welcome back, and definitely a great way to turn up the music again. It's definitely something different for Alice, and he's done a lot of different stuff, but this is definitely a theme that fits real well in his catalog. And then we head over to this track 2 was Go Man Go. That's totally Detroit energy, raw rock song.
Now, he co-wrote that with Wayne Kramer, is that correct?
Wayne Kramer, Tommy Hendrickson, and Bob Ezrin, yep. Hendrickson is his one of his guitar players in his current live band. Hendrickson's all over putting this together as well as Ezrin. They're quite the producers. Yep, and this one's got Garrick Blaniak on guitar, Wayne Kramer, Mark Farner, and Tommy Hendrickson on guitar. So it's fully loaded.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the first 2 tracks, even though we've got all these guests and a lot of great Michiganders, Johnny B's drums right off the bat, they just take you back. There's a sound to his playing, to his style, that Ezrin's managed to capture. And because when Bob Ezrin does a production nowadays, it wasn't like it used to be where let's go in the studio, from what Dick told me, and let's map out and chart out together. And Bob's got his window, and you fit in that window how he does stuff now, because he's got his production style down. You hear it on the new Deep Purple records, you hear it on everything he's done. And the last bunch of Cooper albums have definitely had that feel, like it's coming down this tunnel of vision here. But I think this one was a little bit step back and letting the sounds come through without being too consistently machine sounding, I guess.
Yeah.
In my vision, anyway.
Well, right. It's almost like a punk rock song.
Yeah, yeah.
The Ramones could have covered Go Man Go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was pretty fierce sounding. And that takes us track 3, Our Love Will Change the World, which is the first Detroit band cover, written by Matthew Smith of Outrageous Cherry, and also a video and a song that's currently out there on the web.
Yeah, this one, I'm not sure why he included this. It's a good song, and certainly I think he did a good cover of it. But I guess I was thinking if he was going to cover a Detroit song, it would have been a song from the Grande era.
Right.
Something between 1966 and 1970. I mean, that was really, I thought, when maybe Detroit rock was really at its peak. You had all those bands coming, bands that we've talked about, the Frost, the Amboy Dukes, the MC5, the Stooges, SRC, on and on and on, and producing all that great music. And I kind of thought he may have missed an opportunity here. If you're going to do an album called Detroit Stories, then why not just do it all? I mean, let's go whole hog. Just like so many rock people over the years have done albums where they've covered songs that influenced them. I mean, David Bowie did it, the band did it, John Lennon did it.
Yeah.
And when they did those albums, they stuck to those songs. And that I wish, Alice would have, done it that way rather than bringing in new songs. But, again, just my opinion on it. And I've got a whole list of songs that I think he should have covered.
Right. Did you get to that track, Fred? I remember you saw a clip of it when I played it for you.
Right, I did, but I can't really remember what it sounded like now.
This song has the poppy, goofy Alice feel, and it's got the yin yang of the tough love, yet it's hippie sounding.
Right.
You can hear the background singer, his wife and his daughter.
Right.
Our Love Will Change the World. And what I really dug about it is they currented the Detroit scene themselves with it. They didn't take the throwback. I mean, they did grab something new, and actually it's about 10 years old, 15 years old.
Yeah,
but it's
2005, I think.
Okay. To me, that's like just keeping the energy there, and yet it had that witty Alice, I don't know, his merry-go-round style where he gets the goofiness going, where you could see him on stage, doing the happy, sad thing. And lyrically, it's a perfect fit for Alice's style. And if you look back to his 80s output, the really different era, that was something that he really grasped on then. And this song felt to me like it could fall in any era of Alice, even though the majority of this record has that Alice Cooper band feel, I thought. But yeah, I there's always a slew of tracks I think I would love to hear him cover, but I think since he was already there, he's more interested in doing something, for himself, I guess, because he lived through it, played through it, I guess.
Yeah.
Social Debris was another one of those, could have been a $1 Billion Baby Muscle Love songs.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like, to me, that was the song that was most like the Alice Cooper band era. Like you say, from Love It to Death through, Muscle of Love, or Welcome to My Nightmare. That was his first solo, but
right.
$1 Billion Babies, right in that era, that one fit right in there.
That was written with his drummer Neil Smith from the Alice Cooper band, and Ezrin gets a tag on the end of it there. A couple different players on the record. Hendrickson steps up to it too, and then a guitar player named Stephen Crane. I'm not familiar with him, but you got also Mike Bruce from the original band, and the awesome Dennis Dunaway bass lines, which I think there's a style when the original Alice Cooper band plays, and it's not just guitars and drums and balls out Alice. That's the bass. There was nobody that played like Dunaway, and I think that came alive on this track here, which is pretty cool.
That's why it sounds so much like the original Alice Cooper band. It was basically that band playing it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was. They did some great albums in the early '70s.
Oh man, yeah, I thought that would totally be a great fit on any of those old records. It brought the sound up to date and it still sounds solid. Then you go into the $1,000 High Heel Shoes, a Wayne Kramer song with Cooper and Ezrin. This is an interesting track.
Yeah, a little bit of a funk kind of influence to that one.
Motown horns on it.
Yeah, that's definitely interest of Wayne Kramer, so that's coming through on that guy.
You know, they got the Sister Sledge on background vocals.
Oh.
I haven't heard them in years. That was pretty fantastic to read here in the liner notes. As I was peeling the liner notes today, I'm like, Sister Sledge.
Yeah.
And all three, it's Deborah Sledge, Camille Sledge, Tanya Thillett. No, I don't know if they're all the original Sister Sledge, but that's what they called themselves. So that's cool.
I didn't have benefit of the liner notes. That's interesting. Always fun to hear who's playing and singing and doing what on every cut.
It's definitely Johnny B and Paul Randolph again on your rhythm section. But the Motor City horns, they're pretty cool. They've done everything from Seeger to they're all over the map down in Detroit. And those guys
Keith Kaminsky is one of them.
Yes. I've actually interviewed him before. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Really cool cats. So glad they got on the bill with them. Paul Randolph really stuck out on this song too. The bass lines are just something else, man. Going into Hail Mary, the first of two Detroit dirty religious kind of, crossing the line.
That's right. Going to offend all the Catholics. There we go.
Tommy Hendrickson wrote that with Cooper and Ezrin. And that one's that's got the guitars of Beliniak, Kramer, Farner, and Hendrickson. That's all out there, modern day. One of those typical, but not typical L songs, but totally fitting the Detroit groove that he aimed for this record. I thought my notes here say the guitar players were really what stuck out in that track. Alice definitely had a real cool, his swaggering way about the religious there. The thing I thought was it mirrored. I don't know if you guys get to listen to this track, but it's kind of Bob Seger's Main Street, even though that was a slow song down on Main Street. It's got the whole thing, but kind of in reverse, power rocking and watching the Catholic girl being who he's watching. Oh, I kind of thought that was a reverse of Main Street, which I thought that's interesting.
That's an interesting take. I didn't pick that up.
That was
I'll have to listen to it again and see if I get this.
I think I got about 4 rounds to the record, and by that track, I'm like, what's catching me is it's a Alice song of Main Street, but doing it his power rock way. And this whole record came. There was a preview EP that came out 2 years before, a year and a half before, called Breadcrumbs, and it's a limited edition thing, and I have it on vinyl. And Detroit City, I think, was on that. One of these tracks was, I'm not sure which one, but the next track,
East Side Story.
East Side Story was the one that's on the Seeger song, which ends this record.
And then he had that Mitch Ryder, Devil with the Blue Dress.
Yes,
but he kind of did it like Shorty Long, the original Motown version of Devil with the Blue Dress was quite a bit different from Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. Balls to the wall, hardcore rock and roll. So yeah, that was kind of a different take on it for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, I love the Breadcrumbs lead up to this. It totally made me look forward for this past year for this record to come out. But the Detroit City 2000 or 2021, this is I think Detroit City was on. It was 4 or 5 albums back then because this is an update of that song. And anyway, it's the Detroit band. You got Farner, Kramer, Beliniak, Johnny B, Paul Randolph, just fantastic. The thing that I wanted to pop out about this one was he's mentioning Iggy, MC5, Ted, Bob, Susie Quattro, David Bowie, stuff like that.
Yeah, kind of a history of rock in Detroit.
Yeah,
again, the glory days of late 60s, maybe 70, 71, and things started to deteriorate a little bit at that point. After the Grandy closed, and I think the Easttown closed not too long after that. Fred, do you know what date the Easttown went down?
I'm not sure. I was there for the last Frost show there, but I can't remember what year.
Yeah, and then it was all pretty much the big concert venues. Everything was either at Olympia or Cobo or so the smaller venues kind of got squeezed out.
Let's see, Cooper left for, was it LA first? And then eventually Phoenix, but that had to be around 72,
I think he went to Phoenix first, and that's where he graduated from high school, and the band kind of got together there. Then they went to LA. They recorded those 2 albums, I think, for Frank Zappa's label, Straight Records.
Yep.
But nothing really happened until they came back to Michigan, got with Bob Ezrin, kind of got into the Motor City hard rock sound that you hear on Love It to Death.
Yes.
And the whole page was turned right there. That,
Right.
you know, I'm 18 became a big hit, and, you know, they went from there.
That's the correct lineage for it. I couldn't remember how it rolled, but hearing him talk about Shake It Down, Break It Down, All Around, Hollow Ground, Lost and Found, Homeward Bound, Detroit sounds coming around. Witty, super witty. Lion Town, Roaring Down, Tiger Town, On the Mound, Hockey Town, Shoot the Puck, Take 'em Out. Don't give a what? That's an Alice. Mm-hmm. That's a pure Alice. So I was digging Detroit City 2021. It was a great midpoint of the record. Drunken in Love, another Dennis Dunaway track, one of the original band. It's the one that doesn't have the whole original band, but it's written by the bass player, the original bass player.
That's kind of a blues thing. What did you think, Fred? You're a resident blues expert.
That was my question.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I can't remember Alice Cooper doing another blues song. Do you remember one?
Not many, if any.
Well, I was surprised to hear it on there. It was okay.
A homeless guy falling in love, living out of a box. Total Alice. Perfect. The cool thing is this is the first of like 4 tracks that Cooper played harmonica on, and he tears it up. Absolutely tears up the harp. Yeah, I had no clue.
Well, did he play harp on I'm 18?
Oh, you know what? Maybe he did.
I'll bet he did.
I see those are liner notes I don't have in front of me.
I don't think, you know, I'm not sure that was on the original album that they had mentioned who played what. I'd have to go back and look at it. But on an album,
it might have been.
It's possible. But you think back to albums. Generally, they a lot of times did not have all the credits on there.
Yeah, right. The podcast that we saw that I sent you the link to. He has the Midland Record Store. He had a pair of panties with his schools out or something. Well, I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
It was a pair of paper panties.
Okay, paper.
Yes, paper panties. Well, again, that was the thing for a while in the 70s. The panties were just disposable, or paper panties. And so he had it. The record was, if I remember correctly, it was wrapped right around the vinyl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Alice said he invented that one so the desk opened, and there's always a pair of girls' panties in your desk.
Well,
and I'm like, okay, that's a desk. Of all that time, I didn't even think of that as a desk. Well, it's
because you're too young. You don't remember, the old wooden desk that actually had a little opening in this. It's on the cover for an ink bottle.
Oh, right.
It was like a little ink well that was right into the desk. And just like some of those desks were so old that, you would have things carved in there. Oh, yeah. Not as bad as
that makes total sense.
On the cover of School's Out, but there would be some etchings in those desks. But I certainly remember that very well. Yeah, it was really a clever album cover, probably his all-time best in that department.
Yeah, he was talking about the current album cover, I think, on that show, but the guy also had a copy of $1 Billion Babies with the $1 billion bill inside, and I'm like, I remember seeing that.
And that's, again, the beauty of vinyl is that you could come up with some pretty amazing things in album covers. And I'll never forget Jethro Tull had an album called Standout.
Oh, yeah.
And it, was a fold, they'll fold out. And when you opened it, this whole cardboard cutout, cartoon illustration of the band would come up. And I can't tell you how many people open that album for the first time and this thing pops up and it just like it threw you for a loop.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is so
just
cool.
Like you do this, they had this really creative stuff that would that would happen with album covers. That was, I think, the late 60s, probably to about the mid 70s. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe all the way through the 80s. He had a lot of creativity in the album covers. And that's something that was really lost.
Yes.
When the vinyl album went out and CDs came in, now he had a much smaller cover. And of course, now with all the downloads, even the CD cover has been lost.
You can't find liner notes.
Yeah, you don't have any artwork, which was such an important part of albums. I mean, I bought albums because I like the artwork on it. That was fascinating. I'll take a chance on this, you know. Sometimes you really found a good one. Other times the artwork was the highlight.
Yeah. That's what the Cooper was pointing out. He says Warner's came to him with, well, here's our idea for your album cover. And Al says, we were two guys in the band are art majors. Like, you know, we'd show them, this is our idea. They're like, Al said, those guys went, oh, yeah, you're right. You guys need to do this, not us. Yeah. I'm like, what a cool era to be on Warner's back then, and any of those labels where they were like, let the band do their thing because they know how to promote themselves.
You had the band really had some input on, you know, how they wanted to be presented. You know, that's a nice thing, you know, definitely.
He said for this record, it's got the, what buildings did he mention? The started with a P, Patethobra building or something. I can't remember. He said they've been there since he was younger, and
that's the Art Deco building.
Is it? Do you know that? I'm not pronouncing the name right. What is it? It's got a T at the end. It starts with a P. I can't think of it.
Right.
Okay.
And there's an S and a C in it.
And the Cooper eyes are kind of doing the Batman thing, where he's overlooking the town, which that fits. That fits. Back to the record here. We're Independence Day of track 9. That's definitely a interesting song. Kramer and Cooper wrote this one with Ezrin, and this one's kind of the band that he initially just saw was Johnny B and Paul Randolph, Wayne Kramer, Garrick Belanek, Tommy Hendrickson, and this is a storyline rocker with a throwback feel. Definitely has a feel of early Alice stuff, but it's got a real funny story into it. That comedy. Humor that he's, and this is totally another, to me, a rhythm thing. Randolph and Johnny B just and with Alice on harmonica again, it was like, wow, another great heart performance. These are coming out of nowhere, and from the interviews I was reading in the little bio things, him throwing a little Motown into this Detroit thing, he said he couldn't have done it, and that a lot of it had to do with Paul Randolph on bass. He's like, let's have the hard rockers with the Motown feel. And he wanted to do every style on this record, and I think he kind of achieved it.
Yeah.
You guys got any thoughts on that song, or nothing?
No, not really.
How about I Hate You?
Well, I thought it was a great rocker. I thought the lyrics were a little on the weak side, but you know.
Did you see what the song was about, or did you go into it at all? This is the original Alice Cooper band yelling at each other.
Oh, okay.
It starts out with Neil yelling at Dennis, "I hate you, hate your stupid bass." And it's what it was about. They did a song with the original band. This is the most of all the cuts on here that are from the band. This one's like just the band. Then Mike yells at Neil, "I hate you and your spinning sticks," talking about the drummer. Then all of them, "I hate you." Then Dennis back to Alice, "I hate you and your spider eyes, a guillotine, oh big surprise." And then Alice said to Mike, the guitar player, "I hate you and that guitar pout, those tired riffs we all laugh about, and I hate you, I hate you." Then they all, their little party line to wrap it up about how they hate everything. And that was a definite throwback to some goofy early Alice band stuff, I thought, which is cool. Something different. And it had that Detroit rock.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like the music. I wasn't, crazy about the...
Yeah. They were definitely not like written to be one of your Billboard top 100 songs, but that's more of a fun thing than anything. And having the whole band sing on it, that was really unique. I don't know if they've ever done that on a record. Definitely another Love It to Death or Muscle of Love type track. Wonderful World, or is it Wonderful World? Yeah.
Yep.
Track 11. That was the first one on the record that had a little bit of Nightmare sound.
Yeah, that one sounded like Alice in his theatrical period.
He's doing the whispery, doing the scary haunt thing. That had the more of a Wagner vibe to it, I suppose.
And it kind of an Iggy vocal too.
Yeah, totally. It was kind of cool too because they mixed Johnny B's drums with a drum machine for some of it, which totally updated it, but still put it in its own genre. Kind of a cool track. Definitely something different. Sister Anne, the other The other religious Detroit song, MC5 song,
Yes, indeed.
Right.
written by Fred Sonic Smith. You got any background on Fred's Sister Ann song there?
Not really.
No?
Well, that was on the High Time
High Time? Okay.
album, which really is my favorite MC5 record.
That was their third one, right?
Yes, the third and last, unfortunately.
That was the most cohesive, I thought, of all their records.
Well, I think Fred Smith really stepped up as, you know, you could see his talent as not only a guitarist, but as a songwriter. So, yeah, I like that one a lot. You know, I still like the MC5's version better, but that was a good choice to cover, definitely.
And that one had just guitars from Kramer, Boleniak, and Mark Farner. So that was those three thrown down. Background vocals was Kramer, Randolph, and Farner. And Alice on harmonica again.
Yeah.
Just pretty cool, something different. This album's definitely sticking out in the Alice catalog. So it's, of all those years, that's one thing I miss. I miss this on all rock and roll, on all of it, or any kind of genre that is nothing but throwback on the radio, because there's nobody out there saying, listen to the new one. There's nobody out there promoting, this is the new songs. This is still going on. This rock and roll book is still being written, and there's no regular airplay for any of this or outlets, you know, minus us podcasts or him YouTubing or touring behind it just to promote it, because you can't get that anymore.
No.
But Sister Ann, one heck of a pick. That was a good one. Hanging On by a Thread, Don't Give Up. This was the suicide awareness song. Did you guys get to the end of that song?
Yeah, I thought, I guess when I was listening to it, I thought it was more of the pandemic message, but
He said that he twisted it to pandemic too. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But at the end, he did the whole suicide awareness hotline, which that's kind of an Alice thing to do.
yeah.
I get that. Matthew Smith from Outrageous Cherry actually makes his only appearance, except for that song that they covered of his, the Our Love Will Change the World. He's on. I noticed he made it for background vocals on this track, so that's cool. They got him in the studio and got something. There's this one's definitely a meaningful song, but at the same time, total Alice. You know, getting everybody involved. Then we're up to Shut Up and Rock, track 14, because this is a real cool rocker. One thing about this one is it was short and interesting, and I didn't know this till I read the liner notes, but U2's Larry Mullen Jr. played drums on this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, kind of a supposedly a song to not be political, but it's really a political song.
That's how I felt about it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. Here, I'm, you know, I've heard quotes from Alice on this. You know, you just rock. You know, we don't want to hear your opinions and so on. But okay, but that in itself is a political statement. You know, when you're saying that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much coming from the conservative side of the aisle. But I look at it this way, you know, because we're going to be talking about it. One of my favorite Bob Seger songs here a little later in this podcast, called 2+2. You know, one of the, I think one of the greatest anti-war songs anybody has ever written. And, you know, what if Bob Seger would have shut up and not written that song because it was political? You know, what about John Fogerty and CCR with Fortunate Son?
Absolutely.
They would have shut up and not wrote that song. Neil Young, Ohio.
Yeah. You're right on the money. Yeah.
Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? Edwin Starr with War. I look at, you know, a lot of people criticize musicians for taking or writing a song, or let's say taking a political stand. But that's a tradition that goes way back to the very early days of making music. I think musicians are, you know, sort of like canaries in a coal mine, you know, where the canary went down into the coal mine, and, you know, if the canary died, it was time to get out of there, you know, that there was danger afoot. And, you know, so musicians, you know, they have their right to express their opinion just like everybody else. And they do so actually at a risk.
Yep.
if you look at the Dixie Chicks,
REM,
REM, you name it. When you take a political stand or say something, the people on the other side of the equation are oftentimes going to, boycott you or put you down or whatever. I listen to a lot of music on iTunes, and, like when something comes up, you can go to iTunes and you can listen to at least sometimes a minute and a half or so of each track and kind of get an idea, especially if it's an artist you haven't heard before,
right?
That you can kind of get a sense if this is something you might like. And it amazes me that there are some artists, like, for example, the Drive-By Truckers, who are maybe the most outspoken artists on the scene, and how in the reviews that people will go on there and review it negatively before the album, before they've even listened to the album. The lowest rating you can give it is a 1 star on iTunes. You just go right down the line, all these 1-star reviews, people just going on there to, in a sense, to try to hurt the artist because they are saying something that they don't like.
Right.
So we do have that aspect there.
Yeah, with the country split like it is right now too, 50-50, where you see it more than you've ever seen it. That's for sure. A lot of the negative vibes.
I'm sure it works on both sides too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they probably more people are outspoken, let's say, on the liberal side than they are on the conservative side. But.
Right. MC5 definitely would have been, depending on where you swayed your views, or John Lennon for that matter,
oh yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Shut Up and Rock was and it's poignant, very poignant, short song. I think it was a little over 2 minutes, and it's just to the point. And yeah, I thought it was interesting getting pulling over Larry Mullen Jr. too. That was out of the blue. That was something that wasn't in none of the notes that I had read prior to this. And then the album ends with East Side Story, the Bob Seger classic, and it's a very cool ending to the record. Perfect Alice style song. And from all the interviews and footage that I was catching up with, he talked to Bob when he got to Detroit for one of the sessions, and Bob was, "What you covering?" And Alice says, "I think he expected to get out of Denver or something more upbeat." But he says, "We're going to cover East Side Story." Bob said, "I forgot about that song."
Forgot about it.
Yeah. I still think that's one of Bob Seger's best songs.
Me too.
When I first heard that, I just couldn't believe it. That was such a powerful and great song. And, really, Seger's version of that, which I think was recorded in 1966, it still stands up. What is that, 54 years later?
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's still extremely powerful. And it all comes down to Seger's vocal on there, which, and it's just so believable. And Alice does a good version, but he can't touch Seger as far as the vocal.
Alice said he told him with no, we're gonna do this song, and I'm from the east side of Detroit, so it fits me. And I guess Bob laughed at him and, all right, what you gonna do?
Certainly.
So Alice took it verbatim and said, and it fits. It fits the Alice, how Alice recorded it. It fits Alice's style. You would think if you didn't know Seger wrote that would be a totally fitting Alice Cooper song. Yeah. It was a great choice. You like that song, you said?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? What do you think, Fred?
On here, on a couple of songs, it says album version. Now, what were they on, 45s? Or?
I'm thinking that there's videos for some of them. I also know that there's different versions of this Detroit album that came out, because there's a deluxe edition. There's also the Breadcrumbs version, I think. This is the song that popped on Breadcrumbs.
Right.
So this might not be on, it might be on Breadcrumbs, but might not make it to vinyl for this album. I don't know how they're doing it, because there's space reasons. Because if you guys notice, there's was it 15 tracks, 16 tracks on this record?
15, I think, right?
Yeah, 15. And it still comes in at an hour, but a regular single vinyl holds 40 minutes.
40 minutes, right.
So he may have chopped a few off, I don't know, or put it out. I know there's different things. Like I got mine with a CD from the last live tour, DVD, in it as a bonus thing. But we get to also preview the complete version. The preview we got is this version, the complete album. So, but East Side Story, yeah, I'm just glad they did that. That was a perfect wrap up for the album. Did you have more criticisms or anything, Gary?
If I would have had my druthers, and maybe no one will agree with me, but I think he had an opportunity here to really tell, let's say, a more historical Detroit story by going back and, he's got all these great Detroit players playing with him, plus his own guys from the Alice Cooper band, but instead of including new songs, which you could have taken all these new songs and basically put them on a new Alice Cooper album, but to take the opportunity to just go in and delve into some classic Detroit rock and roll songs from this era, just redone by Alice Cooper. And I would have suggested these. First off, I mean, with all the work he did with Dick Wagner, why not cover a Dick Wagner song?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, rock and roll. Well, I know rock and roll music is very, it's a title very similar to rock and roll. A totally different song, the Lou Reed song and the Dick Wagner song. But I would have included that. I would have included a version of the Amboy Dukes, Journey to the Center of Your Mind. I would have included an SRC song, Up All Night, which is right in Alice's wheelhouse. The Rationals, Guitar Army. The Stooges, I Want to Be Your Dog, which again,
perfect
fit right
Alice song
to the Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And then, for a little bit of Motown, how about the Underdogs version of Love's Gone Bad, which was originally a Motown song. Mitch Ryder, Jenny Take a Ride, Grand Funk Railroad, Time Machine, their first song that made any impact. Yeah. Third Power, Persecution, another great Detroit rock song, and even Frigid Pink's version of House of the Rising Sun. I would have liked to have seen him do an album like that, just one kick-ass Detroit rock and roll song after another, just as a tribute to that era, that was so powerful and so important to Detroit. So, I mean, it's nice that he did this. I mean, what he did still calls attention to the Detroit rock and roll scene, but like I said earlier,
it could have been done differently.
I think so, and it would just been so much fun. When I first heard this is what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was just going to go back and, dig up these great songs that have been largely forgotten and, just shine a light on these bands that were so important back then.
Being that covers, like I think we talked about this episode or two back, but being that covers are kind of a coming back around thing, it'd be a good time for him to put something like that to
I mean, a lot of, like we were talking about, a lot of people have done rock and roll albums of artists that inspired them, but this would be a rock and roll album of artists from one particular, basically, city.
Yes.
That inspired them. I mean, just it was an opportunity, I thought, that, just to do something.
Especially at this point in his career. It would be fantastic to say.
And not many artists could really, that have the, let's say, power and popularity that Alice Cooper does to do something like this for Detroit.
Right.
So none of the other artists, I mean, Wayne Kramer could do it, but,
but Wayne doesn't have the Alice status.
No,
he
even
has
Mark
status of his own.
Farner doesn't have
Not anymore, no. Or Nugent.
Right. He's so polarized now that's not going to work.
No one will,
Yeah, Alice really would have been the perfect guy to do this.
Yep.
And he kind of did it, but
he
didn't go all the way.
Yep. Do you have any favorite Alice Cooper era things there, Fred? Anything that sticks out in your mind? That you're like, back then I used to like this or something.
Nope.
Never been. You've been more blues and world music, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I did go to, I can't remember which album. It was a platinum album party at the Rooster Tail in Detroit.
I wanted to hear that story again tonight, yeah.
And we went down for it. And it was a great time. Dick Wagner was there, and Flo and Eddie. I think they played with him, or I'm not sure why they were there. They were the friendliest people there. They were the only one that talked to us.
Did you say this was the early 70s? The early 70s?
72,
Yeah.
73.
So it was before Dick joined the band. While he was doing the Lou Reed thing, just before he did Lou Reed. Because he was doing Ursa Major in 72, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But that's my only Alice Cooper.
I imagine Bob Ezrin probably would have been there, possibly too, being that
I'm sure he was.
He was doing his Steve Hunter Wagner thing
His
back
snake was there. He had it wrapped around his neck at the next table over. It was kind of weird.
Interesting. Did you get to meet Alice that night at all?
No.
No? So that's about the extent of your Alice times, eh?
Right. Well, we were at the Record Hut downtown Saginaw, John Gilmore and I, and we got free passes to go to it. So,
was that your record store, or were you a worker there?
No, I was just working there. It was before I opened up mine.
Okay.
And so we went. Neither one of us were Alice fans, really.
Just went for the party to see what the scene was like.
And we did, I think, before Alice played at the Cobo Hall, and Dick Wagner was on that, or maybe it was another time. I can't remember now.
I mean,
because I know I saw Dick Wagner with them.
That would have been 75.
But he was behind the curtain.
Oh, maybe he was doing some masking on the live show then. That's weird. I didn't know that because he's never told me that story.
I think that's the way he started out with him, didn't he? Playing behind the
on $1 Billion. You know, he's on a couple records, but he was doing Lou Reed tours, you know.
Because I think why we went to Cobo Hall to see him was because of Wagner. And then, where is he?
Oh, okay. Maybe he did.
Well, I think the first time he played on stage with him was Welcome to My Nightmare, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was in the band, yeah.
Well, this is the concert that Alice was going to cut off his head.
That would have been 75. That would have been Welcome to My Nightmare. Yeah.
That was weird.
They did the guillotine before that,
did they?
though. Yeah.
Yeah, that guillotine. Wow.
Yeah, that was...
It looked real. From way back.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That would have been... I think he was doing that... $1
Billion Babies tour?
Well, yeah, or maybe even before that. Definitely on $1 Billion Babies tour.
Yeah, because he said that...
Then after School's Out came out.
He said that in an interview, one of them, that he when they had their money to do their own record covers, they had money to take out for productions at that point. And that's when the guillotine came out. And Snake
and he had the giant drill, you know, the dentist drill coming up. That was quite a deal there. You know, and seeing his shows with all bringing the theatrics into it.
Did you get to meet Alice at all, Dr. J?
No, I didn't, but certainly was a fan. I had Easy Action, the second album, but I wasn't really crazy about it. There were maybe like one or two songs that I liked, but you know, the album that really got me into Alice Cooper was Love It to Death.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm 18, Be My Lover, and that is a great rock and roll song.
Yeah.
You know, we have in the Michigan Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame, we also honor songs, call them legendary Michigan songs. So far, we have 145 songs that have been enshrined as legendary Michigan songs, including quite a few by Alice Cooper. Be My Lover is one. I'm 18 that was the first one that was voted in.
Fantastic.
School's
songs.
Out, of course.
Under My Wheels.
No More Mr. Nice Guy, you know, another great song from $1 Billion Babies. So yeah.
About a year ago, I sold School's Out. Is that the one that had the panty?
Yes.
Well,
did it still have the panty in it?
Yes, it did.
Oh, wow.
It was rusty, but I got
it was a used panty.
But someone paid me like $200 or something for it.
They were hard to find.
God,
you eBayed it? eBay
at that time, yeah.
Wow.
I didn't. that panty just
Sir
looked-
Fred.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, you had to take the panty off in order to play the record, right? It was right. I remembered it as, wasn't it around the record, or I
I
remember?
can't remember now. I don't
Or
think.
maybe it was just in the desk.
I think it was in the desk.
Okay, all right. I was
Or at least it was on this one.
all right. It seemed to me it was around the.
I saw the $1 Billion Babies, $1 Billion Bill. I've seen that before.
Oh, yeah.
My buddy Essex Villian, Scotty Hagan. He's probably the biggest Alice Cooper guy I've ever. I grew up with him. He graduated a year ahead of me here in town, and he's down in Detroit. And Scotty's like part of Alice Cooper fan lore nowadays, but he had a lot of that, or would always point that cool stuff out. But that's one thing I don't remember is the School's Out panty. So, and until I saw that on the video, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that was really funny when you open up that album and that was in there. I mean, geez, what a.
It wasn't rusty at the time.
No, it wasn't rusty. It was
Well, this was 2
pure
years
white
ago.
pair of paper panties.
It's
And
funny.
no, they were.
No, they're paper, Fred. I remember it. Well, unless you got a real pair of somebody's real pair of panties in there.
Man,
Because the original panties were paper. Now, that was a thing for a while.
well, it could have
Scott
been,
and I
but
were-
it seemed like that was pink.
Well, I bought the album when it first came out, being a big Alice fan, and it was, they were white, a pair of white paper panties, and I have to go on the internet and check that paper panty thing out.
Yeah,
But
Discogs probably got a thing.
that was kind of a thing for a while, that they were, I think they were on the market, paper panties.
I'll be
you could
darned.
buy.
I never knew that. That was fantastic.
I might be wrong on that, though.
Did you
We'll have to
get
do
to
some
see
research.
Well, we will, because I'm just blown away. I'm still learning about these great albums that I love that had bonus stuff in them that I've never seen. But did you say you saw him at John Glenn Cooper?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you
but
see him ever?
Oh, yeah, I saw him. I think the times I've seen him were in Detroit.
Okay.
The original Alice Cooper band. I saw the Welcome to My Nightmare tour with Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter when that first opened up, and that was that took the theatrics from the Alice Cooper band to the next level. That was much more elaborate production than
that was the biggest tour of its time.
Yeah,
or the biggest production and everything. Like,
Yeah.
nobody had seen anything like that. That's incredible. I've actually got to meet Alice 3 or 4 times over the years. Once or twice with Scotty Hagan. He slipped me backstage, or took me a couple times. Once or twice with Wagner when Alice came to casinos. At least once with Dick. Well, I saw Dick also sit in with him, a rare occasion where Alice had a special guest, and Dick came out and sat in with him here at the Saginaw show that he did on Ojibwe Island.
Oh, really?
Wagner came out and played 1 or 2 songs, and that was really cool. I didn't get to hang with Alice that night, but I knew Dick was there doing that. That was at the end of Dick's Michigan years before he moved back to Arizona.
Well, last time I saw Alice was when he appeared in Bay City, and it really put on a good show.
Absolutely.
I mean, a great band, and it was.
That was the 2nd or 3rd show with the lady on guitar there. I can't think of her name, but she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was like her 2nd or 3rd show. She was hanging out. Who's Alice's manager? The one they did a movie. Mike Myers did a movie on him.
Shep Gordon.
Shep Gordon. Shep was there. I ran into Shep, and
Really?
he was autographing because he was just done Letterman the week before for that movie. And I'm like, Shep Gordon's here, and he's like, oh, hey, he was happy to meet people. It's cool. I was like, yeah, I want an autograph, man. I took a picture with him. And then Anita Strauss, that's her name. Anita was walking around, and Ryan Roxy. I didn't hang with Alice that night, but I had the credentials. But that was a great show in Bay City.
They're terrific.
Well, moving on. That's the Alice Cooper stories we have. The Detroit Stories is in stores now. You can get it anywhere, everywhere. And there you have it, our wrap-up of the Detroit Stories new album from Alice Cooper, our coverage of the new album that has just recently hit #1 on the Billboard charts. And I'd like to thank Dr. J and Sir Fred for their backstories and their hospitality for coverage on this new one for our Michigan Music History podcast. And the MMHP and the 989 will return soon with our special guest, Gary Asel, discussing some of the great venues back in the day and the concert halls and clubs and dances that used to be from around the mid-Michigan area all the way through the state. And we will also have a reggae episode coming up with Mr. David Asher from formerly of The Processed. He is now currently in the DAB David Asher Band, and he has a brand new album out, and he's going to discuss the state of reggae and Michigan reggae roots, as well as some great backstories with some of your reggae favorites. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We'll be back here with another podcast episode in 2 weeks. And thanks to Alan Garcia in Studio 163 in Essexville, Michigan. And don't forget to tune in to our Facebook page. Check out Sir Fred and Dr. J's album picks of the week every weekend, as well as giving us some feedback and stories and sharing your photos and concert experiences and all the updates and info that you want us to use in our podcast. We appreciate you listeners. Don't forget also, we also have a YouTube to tune into, so go out there and punch those links. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you for tuning in. Additionally, Dr. J can be reached at MichiganRock'n'RollLegends.com. Sir Fred can be hit up at FredRife.com. And Scott through ScottBakerMusic.com. You can also search Michigan Music History Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. You've been listening to the MMHP in the 989. From all of us at the podcast, we want to thank you for tuning in.